Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Chance, and today I'm going to be reviewing the board game Mesos. Hopefully I said that right. Mesos? We'll move on. So, Mesos is going to be a pretty straightforward game. It's a game of set collection. There's only 6 different types of cards that you're going to be collecting, and these are going to represent your various tribe members. So we have things like the Gatherer, which is going to reduce the required food for your tribe. We have Hunters, which are going to score some in-game points for you, but also collect food for you during the game. You have your Artist, which are going to be mostly end-game points, but occasionally there's going to be an event that comes up that's going to require you to have Artists to gain points. Then we have your Shamans, which are a little bit of that the interactive component where players are going to compete to have the most Shamans. So then when a ritual event comes up, whoever has the most Shamans is going to score points, whoever has the least is going to lose some points. And then we have these Inventors over here, which really do nothing for you during the game. They just require you to feed them for some reason. But at the end of the game, they can be worth a boatload of points. Then lastly, up on the top row here, I have a Builder. So the Builders are going to have a base point value, but the real benefit of them is that they're going to reduce the cost for your building cards. So there's going to be a few building cards that come out during the game. Those are going to be the kind of special cards that people can draft during the game. And they have a food cost requirement and then some sort of unique ability associated with them. And that's really kind of most of the cards you're going to see. The other cards I didn't mention yet are going to be the event cards. So you can see here that this game is kind of split into 2 sections. We have the top card drafting area and then the bottom card drafting area. And this is important because that's how players are going to draft cards and that's how events are going to process. So if there's so the events in the top section, these are just giving you kind of a future warning. Because what's going to happen at the end of every round is that you're going to wipe all the cards from the bottom section that are left, and then you're going to take the cards from the top, ignoring the buildings, and move those down to the bottom section. Now, event cards cannot be drafted. Those are only going to matter when they're in the bottom section at the end of a round. So if you have events in the bottom section, after everyone's done with their draft for that round, you're actually going to process those events before you kind of wipe all the cards from that section. And that's going to be important because these events are going to be things like the cultural event where your artists are going to score points. So where you don't have any artists, you're going to lose some points. Or a hunt event where your hunters are going to activate and they're going to collect some food for your tribe and then potentially, or well, definitely score some points if you have the hunter. Or your rituals, which are going to do that thing I mentioned where you're going to compare the number of shamans players have. And players with the most are going to score points, players with the least are going to lose points. And then there's also let's say the sustenance event. So that's going to be one of the big events in the game where you need to feed your tribe. So that's where each one of your tribe members is going to require 1 food. And if you are unable to feed that tribe member, luckily no one dies in this tribe. You just lose prestige points. Apparently starving tribe members are just not very popular. So you are just going to be losing a variable number of prestige points. So there's going to be 3 ages in the game, and in the first age you're going to lose 1 point per tribe member you don't feed. Second age you're going to lose 2 points per tribe member you don't feed, and then third you're going to lose 3 points per tribe member you don't feed. It's going to be kind of important for you. And that's really the kind of the main point of the game. So that's your point scoring. Then the last thing I didn't mention is kind of that end game scoring where like your builder is going to have some points you get, the buildings that you collect are going to have some points. Your artists are going to be a little, if you get pairs of artists, they're going to score 10 points each, which is pretty big at the end of the game. But then one of the big scoring categories is going to be these inventor cards. So you're actually going to take the number of inventors that you have and multiply it by the number of unique inventions that your tribe has. So they each have their own little symbol in that top right corner there. And essentially if you collect 6 inventors and they all have a unique invention, you're going to get 6 times 6, which is 36 points. So that can be a big swing in points at the end of the game for someone that's really going heavy on that inventor category. The other thing that I need to mention here is actually how people draft cards, because that's really where this game kind of shines, is in that draft selection mechanism. So here in the center of the play area, you can see that so as I mentioned, the player is split top and bottom, and in that center we have this board. This is kind of the draft order board. So on the left-hand side, there's going to be the player meeples, and these are going to determine what order players get to select where to put their meeple. So we're gonna say yellow players at the top, so they're going to select first, and maybe they want to go, let's say, in this section of the board. So here we have, each section has kind of these different arrows associated with them. And this game is really simple because this spot that yellow went to, this has 2 down arrows. This just says that yellow, when it's their turn, they get to draft 2 cards from the bottom section of the draft area. So then let's say red goes. Now they're gonna go in this spot over here. This has 2 up arrows. So this just says they're going to be able to draft 2 cards from the top section of the board. And that's really it. There's these cards, they have really no cost associated with them unless you're going for those building cards. And those building cards, they are going to vary slightly during the game. That's really one of the big differences in the ages. So as you work through this deck over here, you're going to go age 1, age 2, age 3. When you switch ages, you're actually you're gonna move the building cards down, you're gonna bring out some new ones, and then there's going to be some other special powers associated with them. So where those building cards are at will kind of be important for how you choose what spot you go in your draft. And then as we continue, so let's keep moving players. Let's say there's a really important card up top. So this guy wants to go in this spot to get one of those cards up top. And we have blue that's like, well, I want one top, down and up. And then lastly, white's like, I really want one of the cards down bottom. So now we would go through, this is the players have selected where they want to go. And now we go through left to right and say, draft your cards. So white would say, okay, I'm going to take 1 card from down bottom. And maybe they really wanted the shaman for some reason. So they're going to take the shaman. But now they actually get to go back to the turn order track. And if there is a bonus listed underneath the spot they're at, they're going to gain that immediately. So I'm going to gain 3 food for white over here. So that might be one of the reasons why you want to go early in that turn order. While you can only draft like 1 card, it seems like a disadvantage, but you do get to go first in the next round, and you could get that bonus food, which could really help you out with feeding your tribe. Then black's going to draft a card from up top, so they're going to take, let's say, a gatherer. And then they're also going to gain that 1 food bonus for this being set up as a 5-player game. Then yellow's going to draft 2 cards down bottom. Let's say they took an artisan and hunter, and then back to the board, and then so on and so on. And then once the draft is done, we're going to clear all the cards from the bottom. Those are going to be discarded, and then you're going to take all the cards from the top, so I'll just grab a few, and then start throwing them down bottom here. And then the game will continue as is. From that spot, you essentially deal out another set of cards from the deck over here and continue. And then, like I said, if there's any events at the end of the round, you're going to process those events. And that's kind of the rules of the game. That's most of what Mesos is. So let's actually get into kind of some of the things I do like about this game. One is that drafting. So I really like that there's no fixed turn order here. I love this board where players select the spot they want to go, and you have to kind of decide, do I want 2 cards or do I want 1 card? And then the other thing that's important is, like, as the game goes on, there might not be enough cards in like that bottom section for everyone to take a card, because you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down arrows. Now that's okay in the first round when there's probably 5 cards there, but in that next round, maybe there's not enough cards for people to actually use all those down arrows, which means that if you go later in this turn order, let's say you're going in that 4th spot there, or 5th spot, and those other 2 spots with 3 down arrows are taken, and someone wipes out that card market, you can't actually draft anything from that down arrow or down spot anymore. So you have to be a little careful with your draft selection. And deciding if you really need that card and you want to go early in that turn order, I think that's a really good choice. This is where most of the player interaction comes in, because there's not a lot of, I guess, complicated rules in this game. It's just how early in that draft order do you want to go? How important is one of those cards you see to you? Do you need that bonus food to feed your tribe and not lose the points? So lots of good decisions. And then the buildings, while they're pretty basic, as the game goes on, I would say that the age 3 buildings can be pretty important to someone's strategy if something comes up that matches what they're going for. So they might need to go early in that draft order to ensure that someone else does not get that building that they really want. Now, next up is the simplicity of this game. I actually really enjoy how simple this game is. Like it's nice that I don't need to worry about cost on these cards, except for those building cards. And it's refreshing sometimes to play a game that is so straightforward and so simple. The real strategy of the game is really where do you place your piece for that drafting? And then from there, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna take these 2 cards, and they all are pretty simple to trigger, like the events that process, like the hunt event. Just take the number of hunters you have, gain one, or the first age, just gain 1 food per hunter, and then gain 1 point per hunter. Like, very simple, very easy to parse the symbols. Like, there's not a whole lot to learn, so it's easy to teach players and easy to dive in right away. Now, the other thing that I like that might be a little quirky is these point tokens. So if we take a look at this point token, we got a plus 20 on one side, and on the other side, negative 20. So I actually really enjoy that this game has negative points in it. This is something I think games should do more often, because getting 0 points in the game, it's kind of a bummer, right? Like, someone's not getting any points and they're just like, oh, I'm at 0, like this kind of sucks. Like, I'm not enjoying this. But in this game, I find that on some rounds, players will be like, ooh, I got plus 4 points. And then another player's over there, ah, hey, I got plus 8 points, look at that. And then maybe another player across the table goes, I got negative 12. And everyone's like, what? How did you get negative 12 points? Didn't even know that was possible. And then that player's like, well, just wait for next round. I'll see if I can beat it. So I think that for me, it provides some entertainment value. I will mention that this does tend to make the game pretty variable in the scoring. Now, the first game I played of this was 4 players, and I think the point spread from last place was 48 points at the end of the game up to first place at 132. So just a massive spread of points. Now, I think that would narrow as players played this more, but I would say that's something to kind of be aware of. Some people don't like how much spread there can be between winners and losers, but I do actually think that, at least for me, these negative points provide some entertainment value during the game, because it's kind of like you have a little bit of that misery, but it's kind of entertaining on how badly you can do sometimes. Now, things that I'm gonna say that are okay in this game is the art. So I really enjoy the color palette they use in this game. Like the drawings here, kind of this simplistic art style, and just the color palette that's going on here with those teals and the yellows and the reds and oranges. Like, I really like this art. It's kind of like everything's at sunset all the time, which is really cool. There is a bit of a downside to this art though, with the simplicity. Because let's take a look at these inventor cards. So let's throw this guy out here. So we got this inventor. He's hammering away. Now the invention he's doing, he's making arrowheads. So that makes sense. Like, he's hammering away at that rock and making some arrowheads. All right, our next inventor. He is also hammering away and making, so this time, fish hooks. Like, okay, well, I guess you would hammer away to make fish hooks. Next up, this guy seems to also be hammering away. He's making canoes. That's getting a little, okay, not sure what's going on there. And then next up, we got this guy also hammering away, making bread. So unfortunately, they did not do a lot with the variation in the art here. So every inventor card is the exact same. Every shaman, so even a 1-star shaman is the exact same as a 3-star shaman. So the art for these, you have your 6 tribe members, and each tribe member is gonna have the exact same art through age 1 to 3, which is a little disappointing. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with that art. So while the color palette and the design is really nice, it has very little variation in the art. Now, there are a couple things that I would say they're a little more nitpicky, because I don't really have a lot negative to say about this game. But the main thing is variability. There's not a ton of variability in this game. So with those 6 tribe members, you're gonna be seeing the same thing. The events don't vary a whole lot. It's just the order that they come out in, which may determine kind of what cards you want to draft. The real variability is going to be in these building cards. So there's a set of building cards. You're not going to use all of them during every game. So you're going to see some different buildings each game, but I would say they're not providing like a huge amount of variation in this game. So it's going to get a little samey. The real interaction in this game, or the real variation in this game, is just going to be with the players that you play with and how you guys go about doing that draft order. Now, the other thing that I'm not crazy about in this game is the setup. So while it's nice that this game plays a variable number of players, that means that with the card deck, you're gonna have some pre-setup work to do. If you have 5 players, you just get to separate the cards into their 3 ages, shuffle them up, and you're good to go. But if you have 3 players, you're going to have to search through the deck and take out any card that says 4 or 5 plus, right? Like, so that's how it manages the player count, is it's going to reduce that deck size and you have to kind of hunt through them, look for that tiny little number in that bottom right corner and say, okay, I got to remove these cards to be able to play this game. And that's something that is definitely a pet peeve of mine. It happens in a lot of games because that's kind of an easy way to manage these card games, but it is one of those things that it just takes time. Like if you are setting up for a different player count than you played last time, it's kind of annoying where you got to sort through those cards again. And for such a simple game, it's like you want to get it out and quick to the table because there's not a whole lot of kind of, I would say, meat to the game, so you're just trying to get it out and play it as fast as possible. Okay, so that's really all I had to say about this. Like I said, there's not a lot of negative things to say about this. I enjoy how just quick this is. I enjoy the simplicity of the game. I enjoy the simplicity of the resources. It's kind of just refreshing to play a game that is like, you're just choosing how many cards you draft. You're just placing this token and that just says how many cards you get to draft. You don't just worry about the cost of the cards. You just get to take that into your tableau. So that simplicity is really nice. But this is a crowded genre. This is an open drafting game. And there's a lot of games in this category that are really good. Like, I really like Furnace. I love the auction mechanism Furnace. It's one of the best like open drafting games that I've played. There's the Veil of Eternity, which has kind of a neat little snake draft going on in the beginning. And then the cards, they just are creating these crazy combos. So that's another really fun open drafting game. Then we have Nar, which I actually really love Nar. It's a box that's at least half this size and is still it provides, I think, a little more strategy than this game. Maybe less player interaction in a way, but overall, I really like playing Nar. And then Castle Combo is another little light one. Not one of my favorites, but it's another one that just has this set collection and you're building out this kind of grid, and it kind of has this cool 2-row drafting system as well. So this is a crowded genre. If you heard those 4 other games and you said, oh, I love that game, and you know, I'm looking for more games like this, I think Mesos would be great. Like, I think this is worth a shot. Like I said, there's no real flaws in this game. The player interaction with the draft selection is really good. It's a very solid game, and I have enjoyed my plays of this so far. But if you heard those other games, you're like, well, I mean, I really enjoyed those other ones, maybe not one. Like, maybe you don't really want more than 1 or 2 of those in your collection, you could probably pass this one up. And that brings me to my final thoughts, because while it's a perfectly fine game, I have very little bad to say about it. There's not enough for me to say like this is staying in my collection long term. I've enjoyed my plays, but it's one that there's not enough variability, there's not enough just change in how this is going to play out, that I'm kind of done with this game. It's going to be leaving my collection pretty quickly here. But don't let me, I don't want to make you think that means don't seek out this game, don't play this game. I do think that if you're looking for a lighter game, a nice little set collection game with kind of a cool draft order, like, I think this is a great game. So hopefully this review helped you, and maybe you play this game, and maybe let me know if you've had a different experience or if you have similar thoughts on this game. Maybe I missed some of the depth that other people are getting out of this, so definitely let me know in the comments below. So that'll do it for today. Thanks for watching. Then as usual, please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.